Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, the sun don't shine every day, yeah. The money don't last when you broke.
Welcome back to another Stable Podcast. This is D-Ray Brinson, and you know the Stable Podcast is presented by thesonicbreakdown.com. If you haven't checked out a review, you're slipping, go check that shit out. Today's going to be a special episode. It's going to be another Let's Talk About It. And today, for the Let's Talk About It segment, is going to be titled Caleborate, the Real Person. For those of you out there, you might not have heard, but if you haven't, again, you slipping, go check him out. He's a rapper from Sacramento, reps the Bay hard, stayed in Berkeley. He goes by Caleborate, and he had a hit project that I found out about recently was 1993, and then he had a new album that came out in 2017 called Real Person. If you didn't know, he was on the Stable Podcast Top 10 episode that we released for the Top 10 Albums of the Year. So that tells you the album's pretty dope. So
thank you.
Let's hear from the man.
What's up?
Like I said, you are from Sacramento originally.
Yes, sir.
And then you moved to the Bay, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Berkeley.
Yeah, I moved to Berkeley, lived with my brother when I was 17.
Okay.
So I left Sac. Well, I take that back. Originally, I left Sac, went to go live with my mom in Antioch for like a couple months, and then I would take like Bart out to meet with my brother and go to the studio and stuff like that. It was like the first summer I had moved to my mom's. Then I moved in with my brother, and I was there for a few years. Then I spent a semester or two at Academy of Art. That's when I started, just becoming a Bay Area kid. But Berkeley was always like where I came back to. My brother stayed. So
I want to touch on a little bit on just like you said, you went to the Academy of Arts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when did you know or realize that you were a creative person? Like when did that creativeness spark in you that you realized it?
I started realizing it probably when I was really like a kid, just growing up like around the house, just stuff I was interested in. I was always interested in like different movies, or I was always digging through my parents' CDs. Plus my dad always played good music, so I started really realizing it probably around high school. Just when I started noticing how like eclectic my movie taste was and my music taste was it was, I started almost feeling like I was reminiscent of characters I seen in movies low key. I was like, dang, maybe I'm kind of like, my fault. I was like, maybe I'm kind of getting into and really like following the passion of doing music. Like around high school I started noticing this stuff.
Okay. What kind of music was your dad listening to that you feel like kind of still sticks with you?
Pops was listening to everything. Recently actually, I've just been going through a bunch of stuff. He was listening to a lot of Goody Mob, Outkast, Pop, play Scarface, Hove. I mean, it was just like a good time for hip hop in the '90s. I was just listening to some Eric Sermon not too long ago, like a couple days ago, and I was like, dang, I haven't heard this in a minute. Yeah. So I was bumping EPMD. I bumped almost all West Coast, Warren G, Snoop, Nate Dogg, Mac 10, Ice Cube. I was listening to some Eazy-E earlier. Like, man, my pops really played a lot of Outkast. I might have said Outkast already, but he played a lot of I
love Outkast, Aquemini, man.
Yeah,
that album
was great.
That album
was a great
the
album.
Sounds.
That I think my favorite one was ATLiens. ATLiens is probably my personal favorite. That just hit me the most. You know what I mean? That was probably when I just kept. I love the cover art for that one too.
Yeah,
it was so cartoon-like.
Yeah, it was different. I mean, you can truly tell that they express themselves throughout every aspect of that album. Like you said, from the cover art to the lyrics to the sounds. That's one of the things that I really did enjoy about Outkast. Mine has to be, for me, is Aquemini. And I didn't really get that appreciation until I moved to Atlanta. I liked the album.
Yeah, I feel that.
And then through college, when I saw marching bands and stuff like that, I was like, okay, it resonated with me. Okay, I get where they got this, and I get why they have these horns and why it's so open.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
It was definitely an album where you could see not even just a progression from the group, but really a group or a duo that was really themselves, and that came across with everything that you heard from Big Boy when he was rapping, and then Andre, he just had another way of just approaching the beat. Every time, but he's always like, I'm gonna drop some gems in every time.
Yeah.
Particularly with that, I think of Promenade a lot. Just all the songs on there is just like another facet of it. It's like people from the barbershop talk to, I heard you on the street. Okay, we trying to hustle this album. How other people may receive it. They kind of touched on everything with that.
Word. Pops was playing a lot of music that had that type of impact. So that's what I was like. I was just always listening. He was him and my mom. I was playing something dope. I had to give them credit. They had great music taste.
So would you say they were the biggest musical like influences of like the sounds that you like now?
Probably, honestly. What my mom and dad played for me, or what they had, or what I
were exposed to.
Exposed to. Like, yeah, they were big, and then I started making my own. Like, I started sort of curating my own taste out of that. You know what I'm saying? But they were definitely like the first people I got music and shit from was them. So we can cuss, right?
Yeah. You can say whatever you like, man.
Cool. I'll keep it, classic.
There's an explicit tag on here, so they know what they get into.
Right.
You're a real person.
Yeah, I'm like, look, man, I wanted to cuss, but I don't want to step on my toes.
Yeah, man.
Go on the radio or something.
Feel the freedom to say what you like and what you need to. But one of the things I do want to go back to is your first, I guess, official album was hella good, right?
I would consider that like my first. I would call that like my official, like my professional. Like when I felt like I was at the point where I was competing, like in the game, and my projects were being considered amongst like my peers and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll go like that.
And for that, like, because to me, all three of your albums have a different feel.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I like to see growth. I like to see elevation, or evolution too, as well. That reminds me of that line.
Yeah.
The
the joint for what's the song now? Don't now forgive me, y'all. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be doing way too much artistically. I don't remember enough of my own shit.
But yeah, I remember. That's what made me think of that. But I just like that elevation. Do you feel like there has been a growth from that project till now, and where do you feel that growth has been for you?
I definitely feel like there's been a growth. I think that much of that growth has just come from me being comfortable with myself.
Okay.
I think real person is like me finally like finding that understanding, I guess, my place as an artist and like how that relates to who I am, and just intertwining the two. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been like writing raps and rapping, making music, and trying to figure out my lane and stuff for some years now. So I would say really the most, the maturation really came intrinsically, like just me knowing myself and me just accepting things about my artistry and myself and being like, yo, this is it, owning it, and just putting stuff out there, you know what I mean? So that's probably the biggest thing. Humility or honesty or something like that.
Self-discovery too.
Yeah, self-discovery.
And that process. And that is something that I did want to, that I did notice in Real Person. But before we get to Real Person, I want to touch on 1993 because I felt like Hella Good was, if we're playing all three albums in an age group, like that was the adolescence. Hella Good was that adolescence period where I felt like 1993 was like that coming of age, that on the precipice of that discovery, where you're asking the questions of, really analyzing and saying, what am I trying to do? What is the goal here? What is, so that, like, for me, that album is, the first album that I heard from you was 1993, and then when I got to Kale in August 28th, I was like, oh shit, all right. And I was like, okay. I was like, we here.
This on August 28th is you put me onto that. Like that was the first song that when I heard from you, and I was like, he's like, no, trust me, I know you're gonna like this. And I was like, all right, cool. I heard the beat, it started. I'm like, okay, I get it. And then as soon as it dropped, like, oh, he's about to get in. Like, it had that feel already. Like, and I think what also comes across a lot in your music is your presence. Like your presence, I feel like even started to shift a little bit more as like the albums progressed. It's like I'm more into myself, and that comes along a lot with experience and maturity. And I think that's what you were touching on, as well as it's like, okay, I'm at this point in my life, I'm still kind of young, I'm experiencing things, all of a sudden it's crazy to me. The next point is like, oh, I got a little bit of time to reflect, look back.
Right.
And here it's like, okay, where are we at now? Like that's,
it's interesting to hear both perspectives on the project, because I have my own as well. Like, I oftentimes I just be like, this is this, and people only like it, like, because, it's usually, as an artist, I'm always the hardest critic of everything I do, but it's funny because in 1993, like you said, they are all completely different, but I appreciate them for like I like Hella Good, I play Hella Good, and I really love it, and it's easy to sit and play many of the tracks in succession, just let it run. Yeah. And then when I play 1993, I definitely hear the evolution. Like, that is where I see, like, y'all have to forgive me, I talk about Caleborate in third person, like, cause it's not, like that's the whole real person joint. It's like, I'm still Caleb, but I also, like, that's my artist entity, and both are, super tied together, but I'll listen to 1993 and I'll say, I see a lot of growth on this. This is where I see Caleborate, like, showing me, yo, I'm not just gonna just rap, bro. I want to try, I want to sing, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I can still tell my story within doing all that. And then Real Person to me is like a nice mesh of the two, and I see maturation on both ends. Like, the bars and the lyricism on Real Person, I think, are stepped up in comparison to Hella Good, which was a more bars heavy project, I would say, in 1993. But the melodies and stuff that were in 1993 still find their way into Real Person, and they still do things like, add to the hook on Soul, or give you a song like Down, or like Fine. So, like, I saw it as like that's why I continue to say it's really a lot of maturation, because it was sort of just knowing when to say when, you know what I mean? When it's too much and when it's too little, but I appreciate all three for what they are, bro. So,
yeah.
And I believe in everything they say.